to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week episode of the program, we have interesting news stories for you. We'll also be discussing about the power sector in Nigeria, the challenges, the prospects, and possible solutions. We will be right back.
In January 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurated the Presidential Technical Advisory Committee on the implementation of the national minimum wage. Its mandate was to advise the federal government on how best to fund in a sustained manner the additional cost of implementing the imminent increase in the national minimum wage. Also in January 2019, President Buhari submitted a national minimum wage amendment bill to the National Assembly for passage following the approval of the National Council of States. The Senate had in March passed the bill approving 30,000 naira as the new national minimum wage.
I wish us
President Muhammadu Buhari is now signing the new minimum wage bill into law and commends the Nigerian people for their patience and speaks on what he expects from them.
I expect them to be more committed to their work, whichever level. I would like them, with the cooperation of Nigerian Labour Congress, to look at the economic situation of the country, the population we have.
His aide further briefs journalists on the final decision of the president.
This makes it compulsory for all employers of labor in Nigeria to pay to their workers the sum of 30,000 naira. And this excludes persons who are employing less than 25 workers.
It says the Act also ensures and mandates the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission and the Minister of Labour to be the chief and principal enforcers of the provisions of this law. This law applies to all agencies, persons and bodies through the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Now, it also gives the workers the right, if you are compelled by any circumstance, to accept salary that is less than 30,000, for you to sue your employer to recover the balance.
In October 2017, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, as acting president, announced the composition of the NSITF board with former General Secretary of NUPENG, Frank Kokori, as chairman. More than 18 months after, the board is yet to be put in place, as Mr. Ngige won't swear the members in. A test statement from the ministry on Wednesday announced the readiness of the minister to finally inaugurate the board, but conspicuously missing was Kokori's name, an action that compelled Labour to mobilize its members to the venue. Kokori had himself vowed to gate crash into the event if the minister won't invite him. Emotions took the better part of the man at the center of the storm as he speaks.
Yes, you are a lion, a living lion.
Kokori was at the forefront of the struggle to reclaim the June 12, 1993 presidential election mandate of late Moshood Abiola. He was arrested in August 1994 and jailed. The then NUPENG scribe was released after Sani Abacha's death in 1998. Mr. Kokori says he has been humiliated with the Labour minister's refusal to swear him in.
I've done my best for my country. Yes. 20 years after democracy, Chief Kokori, Frank Kokori, Comrade Kokori, is being oppressed by somebody like Ngige.
Labour has now called for a probe into the administration of the NSITF run by Mr. Ngige in the last 3.5 years.
It's unfair for him to be running the place as sole administrator. It's our money. And that's why he didn't want to inaugurate the place. He has come up with many theories. But now that the president said inaugurate the place, and it's supposed to be for 11 o'clock, we can see that he is also nowhere to be found.
Any attempt by the minister to go behind and secretly inaugurate any board does not have Comrade Kokori as the board chairman will be resisted by NUPENG and the entire Nigerian workers.
NLC says it will lay siege on Mr. Ngige's office and homes, both in Abuja and Anambra State, until Kokori and other duly appointed members are sworn in. It calls on President Muhammadu Buhari to intervene. The NSITF is a social insurance scheme designed to provide compensation to employees who suffer from occupational accidents or diseases in the line of duty. The organization is funded by deducting 1% from all government and private sector employees enrolled in the scheme.
Union members working against what they call unfair labor practices against some aviation workers. The unions are National Union of Air Transport Employees and Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. Others are National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, Association of Aviation Professionals, and Amalgamated Union of Public Corporation Civil Services Technical and Recreational Services Employers. General Secretary Nwata says the plan to picket govt helicopters was shelved as the company has yielded to the union's demand to allow the workers join aviation unions.
The large stages of our discussion with govt, hopefully, all things being equal, we might sign off on that.
In-flight service providers Sever and New Rest ASL premises sealed off. There was heavy security presence as gun-wielding policemen kept the peace. The aggrieved union members alleged that the management refused to pay their terminal benefits.
ASL and US and Sever, they did not comply, and in accordance, in as much as they refuse to comply, the unions has the right to picket them, and we are picketing them until they are able to come to the round table.
Of us spent 16, 17 years here, living without any single benefit. No salary increment, no any welfare, no any allowances. And for years, we've been clamoring that we cannot continue like this.
Our workers are being mishandled, they are not well treated in their office. Where they work is unconducive, and when they do overtime, they are not paid. So many issues, anti-labor issues.
Efforts to speak with the management of Sever and New Rest ASL have not been successful.
If I'm to rate electricity supply in my area, that's the Ikeja area, that's the aspect of my own side. Well, I think I'm going to rate them, they're on the average, because at times we have light, at times we do not have light, and the most painful aspect of it is that we pay for what we are not, we pay for it, but we're not enjoying what we pay for. Yeah, so they're just on the average level.
Electricity in Nigeria is, I don't know, it's just funny to me. I think it's funny because when I was staying on the mainland, it was horrible. Then we had lights maybe once in 3 days. So when we have lights in like 2 days, we start looking forward to the third day. That, we are never told Monday. They'll soon bring the lights. Sometimes we might not even get it. Next time I go to here, maybe it's sports. But when I moved to the island, it was kind of better. Some places they even have electricity like maybe 24 hours. But I don't know. It's just, truth is, of course, my work does not permit me like being in contact with the light 24 hours, but I know the little I witness, it is not cool at all.
There's a little improvement, but very, very little improvement actually. When I first moved into the area where I stay right now, I stay around Juwon in Ogun State. So when I moved into that area, we used to have light up to like 6 hours a day, but right now I think it's entering like 7 to 8 hours. Though they split it during the day, but we have up to like 7 hours during the day. I don't mean at night now, during the day. So it has improved, but just a little.
In my area, as of last 2 years when I backed in, I stayed in a Wode Lady. Light was okay then. They used to give us constant light. But as of this year, even I started from late last year, they have changed from the normal way they have been giving us light. So now the light in our area, sometimes maybe 2-3 hours they will take it, and before you get it back, it takes time. And another thing is that they even promise us of giving us this prepaid meter. But we have been waiting for the prepaid meter. God knows how long when it will come. But as that they are still bringing us crazy bills. They just bring us unexpected bills. So that has been the problem. But I think as of last 2 years when I entered, it was okay. But now it's not as that like before. So the light have changed. So sometimes you get it. The worst part is that in the night when you're supposed to make use of the light, they will now take it and maybe before they will bring it to be in the morning. So that's what we are facing now.
If truth must be told, honestly, our rate is on 96%. Yeah, honestly. I stay at Ojota. Yes, honestly, I must tell you the truth. People that stays around that neighborhood, they know what I'm saying. They can confirm. So we have constant light. If they sometimes if they take it, we can predict when they'll bring the light. Yes, like an hour, 30 minutes, they bring it back. So it's a great improvement.
On the profile interview segment this week, I spoke with Comrade Joe Ajero, the General Secretary of NUI. He made mention of the several challenges the power sector is faced with. He also shed light on the expectation the union is having from the federal government, especially the Ministry of Power. Take a listen. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
A lot has happened since our last conversation, and I'm actually concerned about the issue of collective bargaining in the electricity sector. How far have you gone with this battle?
Well, it has really not been very easy. And it appears that the new investors there are not doing well. They are not doing very well. However, within them, you still can categorize them. The ones that are trying, the ones not doing too well, and the ones that can never improve, that can never change. That's how you can categorize them. The least group is where you find Enugu Electricity Distribution Company. In terms of power generation, in terms of workers' welfare, condition of service, etc. And I know to a very large extent, in terms of their relationship with the customers, then followed by Benin Electricity. Historically, you'll understand that's how they are. The other ones seem to be tried. You can, if you look at the ones that are up there in terms of their relationship with the employees, and even power generation, because these things have a way, and even the revenue they are generating. You see a place like Abuja Electricity, Ibadan Electricity, and of late, places like Eko Electricity. And these three areas have really signed condition of service with the union. Jos have equally signed. Kaduna has signed. Kano has concluded. We are thinking of a date to sign it. Port Harcourt is almost concluded. Historically, because initially they refused unionization for 3 years until we moved in there, but the documents have been concluded. We needed to strengthen one or two items. As of today, we're almost finishing with one item in terms of Ikeja, despite the myriads of the litigation going on. Even as at weekends, we are talking. So, but Enugu, as at today, have even gone into cutting workers' salary. Enugu went to court, and incidentally, the Nigerian Industrial Court is doing a great disservice to the workers and their unions. And there is need for the Judicial Council of Nigeria to put a searchlight on the NIC. I was here and I was told that Enugu said they have gotten injunction against the union from picketing, from doing everything. Whether they went to court, we didn't know. Nobody put us on notice. What I know that is not happening these days, suddenly they say they have gotten injunction against us. And we're asking, why? We've had to move to court. Now, assuming they got injunction against us, they started sacking people while their injunction was on. They went ahead and cut salary. From 20%, 50%, whatever, of workers. I wrote them. They say, hey, we have injunction. Oh. And that shows the wickedness of Enugu electricity. When a worker commits offense, they arrest the worker and take him to a police station. Before, they were taking them to the house of the chairman. Before threatening them to charge them for kidnapping. The worker commits offense, you carry him to the house of the chairman. Is that not kidnapping? And that is what happens when you give people who don't understand ABCD, electricity sector, to manage. Bini was cutting salary, 50%, this percent. Until we marched there, they have restored it. And we are still talking in terms of condition of service. Now, the power stations are worst of. Stations like Egbi Electricity. That from the inception, even how they were sold, were not known. Egbi was given to some people. And Nigerians will want to know who Egbi was given, under a pretense that it is willing buyer, willing seller. The process of bidding, the process of advertising, was not the case in Egbi. Now, Yola Electricity was severed from Ibadan. At privatization, Yola was privatized along with Ibadan Electricity as one company. Ibadan halfway decided to drop Yola under force majeure. And Yola is being run by maybe government appointees. And those government appointees, because of the character of the Minister of Power that appointed, because the Minister of Power is just there. If it is easy to scrap the Minister of Power after privatizing electricity, I would say, so be it. Because the Minister of Power and their minister don't seem to be in touch with reality. 4 years into the government of President Buhari, the workers, the stakeholders in the sector, who have not discussed with the minister the way forward. We have not met with him. I don't know where he is working from. He organizes conferences every month from one state to the other, where they are spending money on jamboree without the stakeholders, the main stakeholders. Money that could be used to improve electricity. Every month, Fashola is either in Owerri or in Asaba or in Kaduna with the discos. What they are doing, nobody knows. The power situation remains static. There's no conscious master plan on the power to be generated in the next 1 year. We are living on luck. If Egbi is generating 20 megawatts, that's the capacity. We are not planning to generate additional 10 megawatts by building a power plant. Now they will be announcing imaginary. Before the election, they announced 7,000. I decided not to join issues with them before they will give me one political party as party using me. After the election, they are talking of 3,000 something. How is it moving? Is it regulated? Is it that we have built a new power plant? So these new stations, these new investors, some of them are not really serious to do business.
So moving forward, talking about unionism, can you share with us what is the plan of this union in terms of engaging those that have refused workers to actually unionize?
Well, it's not a question of plan to engage them. We're already engaging them. Like I mentioned to you now, the ones that we have signed agreement with.
So what's the way forward in a bid to ensure that they actually allow workers unionize?
No, you see,
if they don't allow members to unionize, what is the next
step?
They
don't have right to stop us. Not the union some of us are in. They don't have such powers. They tried it. First 6 months they came in, they said nothing. and we started. There is none of the discos, so to say, that is not unionized. Now, being unionized is different from condition of service. Now, it is the condition of service and the rules that we are discussing now. And like I mentioned earlier, apart from the generating companies, ably led by AB. Now, with those who say that they are in government that own EGWI, the discos and others are all unionized.
So what's the way forward in ensuring that your members, all your members, have a collective bargaining agreement signed and implemented?
Well, we have gone far, like I told you. Bini is one item, issue of gratuity and whatever. Port Harcourt is the percentage. And an item Port Harcourt introduced. Port Harcourt on their own came out with the number of people that are in management and the number of people that are union, thereby violating the laws of this land by dictating to people or denying them the right to unionize. And they said they have written a letter to Ministry of Labour. Ministry of Labour is the place you cannot get a response from if you write a letter. Up to now, Ministry of Labour talk now whether they have the right to say this number of people are management or whether the people can belong to union. And even if they are management, they can belong to union, but they should not hold union offices. Their right to belong to union is clear.
So what is the union doing about ensuring, like for example, we know that you've made achievements in so many companies in terms of a code distribution and the likes, but for stations like Ikeja, Enugu, Egbin, what do you intend to do to ensure that they allow the rule of law?
The issue, all these areas we have engaged them, even Enugu, in terms of condition of service, we have gotten to a certain level with them. But as usual, they move front, they will come back tomorrow. And then they have gone to court. We are yet to clear the hurdle in common in the case in court. In Ikeja has about 3 cases with us in court. That's why I told you that the Nigerian Industrial Court is playing a bad role.
So would you say that the court has been able, has successfully prevented your union from making giant strides?
The court has delayed the process and has frustrated the unions and ditto the workers. And many workers are dying, some are being frustrated by virtue of the activities of the courts. Now, I've not seen anything that is emergency that a union is discussing condition of service with employers, and they hurriedly come to you and you give them court injunction. Is the court injunction to stop workers, and while that court injunction is in order, is on, they cut salaries, they sack people, and you are in court and you are laughing that they are doing service. Is that court serving the interests of Nigerians or not?
So are you saying that the court can't allow you picket this power plant?
No, we have been doing that, but there are, when they have such orders, it delays the process because eventually we evacuate it and go back to picket, and go like in the case of Ikeja. While the court is on, the court even later set up alternative dispute resolution. Those ones met. We have finished from court. We came back, come to IDR, whatever, ADR. After discussion at ADR, they say we should go and conclude the process. So maybe before long, you hear that we have signed in Ikeja. The one that decided to follow the court process, it will only prolong it. At the end of the day, we'll still come back. You know, but in all instances, I will tell you that in almost all the companies, we have negotiated. You know, maybe there are some differences. There's no company that we have not started apart from a GWI power station.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.